into the mental health of homeschool moms, not clinical things that we're not qualified to talk about, but just how we handle the common stresses like financial stress or health issues or just juggling too many things and feeling a little bit burnt out, or I don't know, whatever other things you can think of in your own life that have stressed you out at times. And I think from my side anyway, it's going to be very practical tips that we can share that just help moms to sort of lift themselves above these kind of circumstances that can get you down if they go on for too long. Absolutely. So what do you think stressed you out the most?
I think I carried relational stuff very hard, very heavy. So I just want to quickly adjust my light because we've got a very
we all do.
Yeah, so I found that if there was a disconnect between me and my husband, or between my children, or my children and I, those things really were a burden to me, and I kept on camping at that place, which is that's not really the healthiest thing to do. So instead of camping at the sadness or the stress or the worry, it's rather or the hurt, yeah, to rather deal with it in an appropriate way. For me, being a Christian mom and wife, I used to always think of Isaiah 26 verse 3 about he will keep us in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on him because we trust in him. And I learned to take all my thoughts, all of my anxieties, all of my worries, and place them at the foot of the cross. And then allow scripture and friends' encouragement. There was another thing, reaching out for help and advice from trusted, wise people to try and help me solve situations. Sometimes it would be a book. And I got better with it over the years. That was I think my biggest issue through the homeschooling years. What about you?
Yeah, I think definitely those kind of emotional burdens can weigh you down. And it is a thing to learn to guard your own mind and not and rehash them, but really just all you can do is change yourself and your own attitude and your own thought processes as you sort of work through what you should have, could have, would have, or should do, and forgive and let go and then move on. But I mean, those things I think are a challenge whether you're homeschooling or not. I think the other thing that was hard, having so many little toddlers, just, it's that comparison thing and feeling like you're not you're just going through the same day, cleaning nappies, cleaning up spills, wiping noses, making sandwiches, and you feel like you're not achieving that much. But for that, you actually just have to shift your focus and realize that in that season, when your kids are young, that is the most important thing that you can be doing. And if it's possible, if you can find just one thing that you do that lifts you up and encourages you, find that thing. It could be just going for a walk on your own, or listening to a podcast while you walk. That's something inspirational. Or having time out. I used to scrapbook with 2 girlfriends one night a week when a few years ago, and I would take the baby with me, but the baby would sleep most of the time to chat and have some me time with my friends. So different things worked in different seasons, but know that you've got a little half hour here for a coffee with somebody, or a walk with your husband, or a long bath, or whatever it is that you need just to recharge your own batteries. And then another thing that's quite good is if you find something that's going to grow you, that you're going to keep learning. I think Charlotte Mason and Corin and Viola talk about mother culture, and it can be, like my passion. One of them is obviously homeschooling, and another one was, antenatal care for babies and birthing and those kind of things. So those are things that I just researched and read books on, and it fed my mind. And it's encouraged me to be able to encourage other people. So when I'm feeling down and I'm able to pass on advice or tips or links or something to somebody, I kind of get an emotional reward from that. So I think you've got to find those things that lift you above the everyday things.
Absolutely. And the other thing I was thinking is that, we're living in a time now where we are bombarded from sun up to sundown with terrible things that are happening in the world, in our country, in our communities. And if those things, and we feel those things heavily. And I think if those things are so overwhelming and they are pulling you down into a place where it's swirling around in your head all the time, that it might be wise to take a media fast and just let the world get on with the world needs to get on with, and to focus just on your home. One of the things that I realized way back when is that we can often be in the home with our children, but not mentally present. We're not showing up because our brain is somewhere else. Maybe it's on a Facebook conversation that's, all consuming, or a situation in the country or in your family. And we aren't present with our kids. And I found that also feeds into the whole guilt cycle, that I think moms just walk with an insurmountable amount of guilt anyway, for no reason at all other than you're just a mom. But just maybe cut out those things. Marilyn Hauschel says you need to prune back until peace returns, which is a very wise counsel for somebody who is struggling with anxiety or depression, or huge amounts of stress in the home. And do what needs to be done. Just those simple basics of being busy in your own home, loving your husband, loving your children, and just live a simple life for that season until you feel like you can handle a little bit more.
Anything? I think another thing that comes found is that when you look at a situation, and it can be your relationship or your finances or your health in your family, and you start to think it's going to always be like this. Yeah. It's going to always be this bad. And that's an absolute lie, because seasons come and go in our relationships, in our finances, in our health. And even if it feels like you can't change it right now, you can at least change your attitude and what you think about it. Yeah. And live with hope, instead of looking at those circumstances and allowing it to make your feelings fall downwards.
Definitely.
Definitely, things never stay as they are. And you've got to find the things that you can change. It could be changing your diet. It could be cutting back some or other expenditure, or finding new ways to find income, or, handling your differently, or getting advice or something. But there's always something that you can change. And if not something outward and physical, as I said before, change your own attitude. And it won't always be this bad,
Correct. Yeah,
it's always right.
Yeah. I think that's the point. And then also, as a homeschool mom, we kind of tend to have an all or nothing mentality. And we need to say, if we're going through a rough patch as a family, or in the country or whatever, well, let's just take a step back from the academics, because this thing is something that we can all learn from as well. In fact, just in closing, a few weeks ago on Instagram, we did a little poll with our followers, and we said to them, what would you like to have been taught at school? And one of the top featured points were how to better handle mental stress and care for our mental health. So obviously there is a deep concern for parents around this, for their own children and for themselves. And let that be the lesson. You've got the perfect opportunity to teach your children how to slow down, know who you are, so that if you're pushing too hard, you can say, whoa, hang on, let's just step it back, back a bit. Or if a teen is pushing themselves too hard towards their final exams or whatever, we can all even use that situation to learn from. Anything you want to add in closing?
I think that's a very novel point. Puts it in a really different perspective. And like we often say, the lessons in life aren't always found in the pages of a textbook. And this is, again, another situation that you can make a very valuable lesson
Yeah,
especially if you felt it was lacking in your own upbringing.
absolutely.
Good point.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, lovely chatting.